Greetings, bazalwane, friends, and everyone out there. Ngifisa ukubingelela nje namhlanje. I want to do, I don't know ngizoyibiza ngani le. Just want to talk about various issues over the last, 5-6 weeks. I've been having interviews with a number of people, but today I want to talk about a variety of issues. I see this as a buffet. So kuzoba buffet ngizoxova nje over the next 20 minutes. Now, I want to talk about is business opportunities. Obviously, the number of business opportunities as well, I can't list them all. There's so much. But what do you need to do? You need to look at businesses that are still not operating at this stage. Businesses that are closed. Any business esavaliwe namanje, which is 2 months or some 2.5 months later, in likelihood, yes, survival your business. A business esavaliwe, unless it's a big business, unless someone on our financial muscles, normal rental relief, etc., etc. But a business that is not operated for the last 2 months, it's 2.5 months, it's under pressure now, I can tell you. Now, a business that is not going to open post Mhlaka 1 June for another month or two will even be under extreme pressure. What does this mean? If you have a solid business, I'm calling ngomuntu or consultant, you're doing assignments here and there. I'm talking about someone who has a solid business, So I will look at those businesses, I'll tell you those. So there will be a number of them as are available in the market shortly, within the next 6 months or so. So I'm saying as a bazalwan, let's position ourselves to be able to buy those businesses. Restaurants are one of them. Restaurants are under pressure. Any form of restaurants, njengamanje, is under extreme pressure. Just to give you an example, if you are a restaurant owner, you own a franchise, a Spare, or any franchise, Nando's or whatever, you only Spare have not opened, but or if it was in Spare, about Nando's, they're only operating at 20%, 30%, because abantu basihlele emakhaya, they are cooking and they're under pressure financially, so they're not really going to focus more on spending land. So those are the kind of businesses as under extreme pressure njengamanje. So food businesses are under pressure, so there will be opportunities. But again, don't rush buying, because demand is sazoba ngane again for a bit longer time. Probably, if you were to buy, you buy very late this year. I would say November, or even very early next year, and then I think the economy will start picking up again. I suspect second quarter of 2021. So at that stage, no one will want to sell. But the only time you need to get in, when people are under pressure. And then sometimes you don't need to own 100%. Sometimes you need to say, okay, you are a restaurant owner, you're under pressure, I want to invest 300,000 rands in your business and then convert that into equity. What do I mean by that? You convert that into percentage shareholding. So you obviously, get people abazokusiza. You've got cash, you can take money from your bond, you can take money from, from wherever, and say, yes, 300,000 rands, let's keep the business afloat for the next 3 months again. And then as you keep the business afloat, then obviously you agreed up front before Fagiman that you'll convert that money into equity. So let me look at more, a few other things. Let me check. Okay, there are a few other points. So then the next thing, that's just one example of the restaurant business. So you still own 25% or 30%. They're still running the business. They were running a good business, a solid business. Obviously, don't just invest simply because it's a Nando's. You've got to check the numbers, get advices. You would say, is it a right business? Kuhamba kanjani? So that's something. That's just land. So there'll be a lot of vacancies as of in the shopping malls. And by vacancies, I'm talking about if vacant. So space is vacant. It's called vacancies. So the vacancies as a new, in my malls. So there will be opportunities. Ningatatazeliki bazalwane. Nivele nithi ay ngine business idea. Go through the entire business process and be thorough in checking ukuthi whether a business lam li ready yini ukuthi ngilithathe ngilise a mall ikhona in the market. If I were you, I would visit Wealth Talks. Engangwenza last year. I still do a few namanje. Nale video la izongena khona, it's on YouTube. Go and check those Wealth Talks. There is one talk. They're about an hour each. There's one talk. I can't remember what number. I think talk 6 or talk 7. It is on developing a business model. You've got to look at that one. I outline 9 points before you even do anything, before you even go to the mall. These are typically what I call blind spots. If you look at those, that model, it's called Potter's model, business modeling. I tell you, Agionayami, I from a book. It's a beautiful one, but I try to unpack that one for about an hour or hour 10 minutes. Go to that one. It's called Wealth Talks. It's on YouTube. It's a new channel. I started on October last year. Please go and have a look there. So the vacancies are over maningi, but ungatatazeli, do your work thorough and do your market research, do everything that you need to do properly to make sure you are prepared to be going into business. One thing I always recommend, if you know someone in the area of business, onga partnerisha naye, onale expertise, rather bring that person as an expert. Then when ube shareholder, uqhubeke ubusebenza. You don't, by being in business, you don't always have to leave umsebenzi owenzayo. You can still continue nomsebenzi owenzayo, but continue to run, be a shareholder and have someone running your business. Generally, as black people say in their business, so we always want to own 100%. Sometimes you need partnerships. Okay, properties as well, cool. There are a lot of properties. Just to give you an example, Abandaba owner student accommodation. Right now, they have not been paid in March, not been paid in April, not been paid in May, and it might take another 2 more months, which is June and July, before ikole fully zibuyele back emalokuzeni ama-tertiary institutions abuyele back. So those people right now, they are under pressure. Ama-banks azobanikeza i-relief at 3 months, etc., etc. But guess what? Some may say, it's too risky, njalo. So they may start looking for abantu abazoba ngama-partners nabo. So invest in those kind of businesses because they've got a contract, 3 years, you'll get your returns. Or if you are an owner of such a business, ungazuliyeke business lakho liwe ube ukhona umuntu ongapartnerisha naye ono cash. So bring a shareholder omunye, sort of owning 100% of your business. Give some shares to someone else and say, look, I put in a R1 million equity, which is your own money, not in loan. That's how you don't do evaluation. You don't look at the entire loan. I put in equity here, and then if you put in 300,000, say, just for simplicity, what will be the number? 400,000 rand, it will take us to 1.4. How do we divide that? Or 1.4, you've put in 400,000 rands, I've put in a million rand. Oh, okay, we now have 1.4, but you've put in 400,000. So you divide, then it gets to 30% and 30% shareholding. So you now own 30%, but you're not running the business. So you still own 70% of the business. Don't be greedy. Give the 70%, share the profits, and share the equity growth, the capital growth of the business. So that's something that's very important. Again, stock market, you see, the truth is, sit down. At this point, it will be down for a while until we have certainty on the economic stimulus or president as we hopefully over the next few weeks. But there is no economic stimulus president. We don't call it economic stimulus. Stimulate the economy. It's a relief package. science so far, the 500 billion range. That's more. We're still expecting the economic stimulus in terms of stimulator, growth, the economy. Something like, construction, things like big construction projects, big training projects, and extended public works, something as a lot of people, big agricultural projects. So that's what we need right now to stimulate the economy. So we need a lot of infrastructure projects. We need a lot of infrastructure investments, so that kuzoqashwa abantu, and siyazi economic infrastructure which always yields positive results. Ivula ama-developments, ivula a whole lot of things. Sibonile eGoli kuthi Rosebank neloko kwafakwa i-Gautrain yavele yakhula into engakazi uyibona, etc. So those are just some of the things. So economic stimulus sisilindile ukuthi upresident uzothini. It may be agriculture, I suspect, manufacturing, localized manufacturing. It could potentially be infrastructure, definitely. It's extended public works, etc. That is in my view. So once we're clear, that economic stimulus for president azoyenza, then the economy will start, improving again, and the stock market will improve again. But if you have cash, don't just throw money. Get experts, abantu abazokusiza. Banks, in my view, are one of the safe havens. They're currently under pressure, but they will come back again, in my view. This is my view. I'm not an expert, so go to an expert and get proper advice. But banks will come back again in 2 years, in 3 years' time. Schools are under pressure. The two big school groups, Advertech and Caro or Curo, depending on what you pronounce kanjani, those are currently under pressure. Medical companies, they're under pressure because abantu abalele ibhedlela, spaces sidedelwe for COVID. But again, those are going to come back again. So those are some of the things. I'm just picking a few stocks. Construction companies, obviously, they will pick up again after President announced the economic stimulus. They really have been under pressure for a long period, probably about 7-8 years, construction companies. So there is a lot of, but get an expert. I'm not an expert. This is a disclaimer. I am not an expert. So don't take your advice and say, Khambule, I'm having my banking stocks. No, I'm saying go and look for an expert. I was just giving you my examples. Hotels, there's going to be a lot of B&Bs that are going to be available in the market. If you've got space, if you've got a room, rent it out, few rooms, rent them out on Airbnb. But if there are guest houses, or you're on a guest houses or small lodges, please, if you're under pressure, like it's understandably so, because you're gonna be, bring a partner. Also later, your working capital, just to keep you afloat, keep you afloat, and give you cash and give you some liquidity. And then once you do that, then you're gonna have to release some shares into that partner. And then when the economy is back up and running again next year, and people will be ngasasayba, hopefully bazoqala basebenze ama-BNBs. But literally most businesses at this stage, they need some cash injection. And then preschools are under extreme pressure. Abekho abantu under pressure. Well, mhlambe nama-banks, so not nama-banks, hotels. They are under extreme pressure, preschools. Why? Because ingane azifundiseki online, okay? That's a major challenge esibhekene nayo. Ingane azifundiseki online. Kalula, it's very difficult. I know bazama. So those assets, those businesses are going to be available, and so I'm just giving you ideas. Most of them are not going to be able to open in July or August when government says preschools can be open. Whether it's now, June, normal July, but already they've lost a lot of money right now. So it's going to be a lot more difficult for them. So a lot of them are going to be available to buy next year or later this year. So position yourself there. And then schools, there is a lot of private schools. I believe in Gauteng already, small and big, they're under pressure in various parts of the country. Others were under pressure even before the COVID. So COVID vele yona isimo sabo. Can tell you now, a lot of private schools are going to be up for sale. Okay, so let's basically look at those kind of businesses and see which one are you going to be able to pick up. I'm telling you, you're not going to pick them up for free, but partner, do legal agreements correctly. That's something very important. Get a lawyer. But before you even get to the legal agreements and spending any of your money, you've got to have someone assess that business. A qualified accountant, a qualified person, also going to do due diligence, a combined report. It's an expenditure that you cannot run away from. It might cost you 30,000 rand, 50,000 rand, 100,000, sometimes depending on the size of the business. The bigger the size, the more the money, obviously. So spend that money, it is worth it then to spend your hundreds of thousands, your hard-earned income. When you spend 20,000 rands, you check whether it's viable or not. If it's viable, you check a tax status, etc., etc. And then if your advisor is right, then you can then go to the legal agreement stage. But don't pay any money until the legal agreements are signed. What do the churches now, because these are individuals, what do the churches? I strongly believe there's going to be a huge component of local production. As I'm taking from what Nhlanhla was saying, about 5-6 weeks ago, in local production is going to be quite important. So there's going to be a lot of manufacturing as well. So as the churches, let's look at the opportunities of what can be manufactured locally and how can we encourage our members to be involved in local manufacturing. Okay, I think you paid. Local production or local manufacturing is going to be key, and government is going to encourage, every government in the world is going to encourage it, because ngesikhathi kuvalwe during the lockdown, our borders are valile, only izinto essential are coming into the country. Anything that is non-essential that the country needs, though, that's not defined as essential according to the trade agreements, is not coming into the country. So the country cannot certain things that it wants, but that may not necessarily be non-essential. That may not necessarily be essential, but be non-essential, but still equally required by the population. So that's the problem. It's very important that each and every country says, okay, what are the minimum requirements? That's what government is going to be doing. I think DTI is probably busy with that exercise to say these are the minimum requirements that as a country we need. And I think ultimately we're going to have a look at it as a continent, as a free trade agreement in the continent. So we're going to, the country might say we need, to have 15 factories or producing medical technology. So many factories producing amapilisi, imithi, medicine. It could be certain tools and certain things as by minimum, which government is going to stipulate and say, maybe there may be a need to build 200 factories, but who's going to build those factories? It has to be us. It has to be the church. It has to be abantu abamnyama. It has to be the church in particular, but the church. The church must rise up. So I'm therefore saying to the church leaders, let's go out and look for those opportunities. Not look, because we're not going to be going out to look. As they come, you then put teams together. We've got expertise in Masondweni, abazalwane, who are running factories, who are doctors, who are nurses, who are teachers, who are doing professionals and accountants, etc., etc. Let's use those people. Others are artisans. Let's use those people. Let's work with them. Let's bring other people from other churches as well. Let's bring other people and say, do you have expertise? That's the kind of languages we need to begin to talk about now and say, hey, bafowethu yazi ngifuna ukwenza into ethize kwimpintshi zami ukhona yini nomuntu one-expertise ethize la, bathi hayi no khululeka mfundisi nangu bakhona bawu-2 bawu-3 then bahlangane bangisize and then kanjalo nami makhona abangakumina ngibase ngakule And that's the only way we are going to be in a position to thrive as a church. So there's going to be a lot of local people. We can't miss this opportunity as a church. That's my message. We cannot miss this opportunity again. We've missed a lot of opportunities, but this time around, let's not miss these opportunities. I also believe, Wuti, as the churches, we've done well since our business seminars. The next step to that is begin to engage, to train on entrepreneurship, train our abazalwane bethu laba ba interested, not one umuntu. You may have 50 people abazalwane, but only 2 or 3 that are interested in entrepreneurship. So don't try and force laba banye. Don't worry about the rest. Don't worry about the 47. Focus on the 3 that are interested. Build them and then make sure they become better. It will not happen overnight. It may take 5 years, 10 years, but guess what? We'll get there. Baby steps. Baby steps. As umfundisi, don't expect ukuthi yay ishumi sezonyuka nje overnight ngoba naku sengilosoma business. It's going to take a while, and nabo attraction yokuthi bangene, it's going to take a while. But what do you need to do? Start investing. That's the first thing. Start investing on them. And then in-house expertise. Then the final point in Funugation is ukuthi the churches must become business incubators. In fact, churches, there are 2 levels. Churches must become business incubators, but number 2, churches must become the places where we can make business during the week. Uzotsho omunye but wenza indlu kaNkulunkulu umhuma abaphangi labo akubona abaphangi laba ihamente lakhe alibona abaphangi ihamente you are helping abazalwane bakho to become better. You are empowering them. So don't confuse umhumi wabaphangi nehamende lakho nabazalwane bakho. You are empowering, or even the community yakho, you are empowering it. Khambule la cha akuze Khambule, because laba Khambule labantu benza all sorts of the robana kunobugebengu nani. But here it's not. It can be a structured place where people can manufacture something. People can at the church, if there's space in the yard, they can manufacture something. Get weekend, go clean. Something along those lines. I don't know, depending on the demand, a corner where you are located. So where you are located, you'll need to analyze the demand. Umsebenzi wami nawe as umfundisi is to just focus on preaching the word and nurturing. Labazalwane esibaholayo ibona kumele bahlale phansi bacabange ngalezi zinto engiqeda ukukhuluma ngazo. Umsebenzi wabo, take this video, give it to abazalwane, and say bazalwane, apply your mind to these issues, so that sizokwazi ukuthi sakhe ibandla. It will take you 10 years, 15 years. Be patient. That's what I want to say. Be patient. You are building a generation. You are not building a quick rich scheme. It's not a quick rich scheme. It's something solid that you are building. Might take the abazalwane 3 years to gain traction. Might take them 5 years to build solid businesses, and then kanjalo. Oh, you are born after 10 years. You have something solid. But we don't invest. Siyakwazi thina ukufundisa about investing. Akufani uku-investa on isihlahla bengitshela ulamula la ekhaya. Ulamula uzothatha 2 years, kodwa u-avocado might take anything between 6 and 7 years. Guess what? Both of them ngizitshalile, and both of them is appreciated equally. Lamula thatha 6 years to 7 years. Sorry, quarter pear avocado 6 to 7 years, but lemon 2 years. Am I going to throw the lemon away? No. Am I going to compare a lemon to ilokuzan to the avocado? No. They're going through different processes, and I deliberately planted the avos as well. So, but for you, please take care. It's a difficult time, but it's also exciting times. If you position yourself correctly as a church, you may do wonders and miracles. Will see your church being something else 5 years, 10 years from now. God bless you. We love you. Amen.